Welcome back to the place where we unravel history's most intriguing stories in record time. Today, we're diving into a time when the world was on edge. The Cold War. Spies, secret missions, nukes, it's all here. And we've got just 3 minutes to cover espionage, the arms race, and key events. Ready? Let's go. So, what exactly was the Cold War? Well, despite its name, it wasn't a war with tanks and battles. It was more like a giant game of chess, except the pieces were nuclear weapons. The two players, the United States and the Soviet Union, they had completely different ideas about how the world should work, capitalism versus communism, and neither side was backing down. Let's start with something cool: espionage. This was the era of spies. No joke. Real-life James Bonds were sneaking around, stealing secrets, planting bugs, and living double lives. The CIA versus the KGB. It was a spy versus spy showdown, and each side had some pretty wild tricks up their sleeve. Now onto the stuff: the arms race. The United States and Soviet Union were in a race to build the most destructive weapons the world had ever seen. After World War II, both countries started building nukes, and lots of them. By the 1960s, they each had enough nuclear weapons to destroy the planet multiple times over. Yeah, things got a little intense. And here's where we get to one of the most tense moments of the Cold War: the Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1962, the US discovered that the Soviet Union was placing nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from American shores. The world held its breath for 13 days as the two sides came this close to launching nuclear war. Imagine the tension. But in the end, both sides agreed to back off, and the crisis was averted, just barely. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. The Cold War also launched the space race. The US and Soviet Union were competing to be the first in space, and it led to some pretty amazing stuff. The Soviets sent the first satellite, Sputnik, and the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into space. Not to be outdone, the US landed the first humans on the moon in 1969. One small step for man, one giant leap for Cold War bragging rights. Let's not forget the people. The Cold War wasn't just fought with weapons and spies, it was also about people fighting for freedom. In Germany, the Berlin Wall literally divided families and friends for almost 30 years. But in 1989, people came together and tore that wall down. It was a powerful symbol that the Cold War was nearing its end. By the late 1980s, things were changing. The Soviet Union was struggling, and people were demanding more freedom. Leaders like Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev started talking, and eventually, the Cold War fizzled out without a nuclear apocalypse. Phew, right? Now, the Cold War left a huge impact on our world today. From modern technology that started as military projects to the way countries interact on the global stage, it all has roots in this epic, decades-long standoff. And while it was a time of tension, fear, and secret spy missions, it also drove some of the biggest advancements in science, technology, and diplomacy. So, there you have it: espionage, the arms race, and key events of the Cold War, all wrapped up in 3 minutes. Thanks for joining us on. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more quick dives into the coolest moments in history. Until next time, stay curious.